Hello, fellow artists. I want to give you some encouragement today as another artist in the trenches of making things work and the journey to becoming a full-time artist someday. I am close, and I want to encourage you all, if you're also still kind of patching things together, like I still work retail, entry-level job, to add that stability. And two things about that. One, yeah, it kind of hurts to be entry level still after so many years of investment. But I hope that you also will be encouraged that we're doing what it takes to make it work. And that's huge. That gives so much self-confidence to yourself of being able to do what it takes and telling yourself this is worth it and I can do what it takes to get my goal and my dream. So please be encouraged by that. If you still feel like you're patching things together, that's okay. And that's actually a good sign of resilience that when things go weird down the road, you're going to make it because you're willing to do what it takes right now to leap off that stepping stone. I like to say that the small stepping stone keeps you out of water, and that's true, even if it's a little part-time job or something like that that keeps you going. That's important. The other encouragement I want to give you today started out as something that broke my heart earlier this past week. So I work retail a little bit as a part-time job, and I would see people buy $100 each time of disposable party items for, a theme party. It's fun stuff. That's cool. And yet at a craft fair or art show, my sales are significantly lower. And it broke my heart that I'd see people buying hundreds of dollars, together with this disposable stuff made in China, mass produced, and then at a craft fair or something locally handmade lovingly, it felt very cheap and frugal, and, well, I don't need that. I'm like, well, you don't need this toothpick thing either. But that broke my heart because I want to see people investing in locally made stuff, their economy, not necessarily big box or mass produced. And I know that those things are not necessarily related. And that's the really hard part that I think we forget a lot of times. When we look at the economy being weird, we tend to look at that as a marker of whether our art is going to sell or that kind of mark or not. I believe it was the artist marketer Eric Rhodes. If you've seen his podcast anywhere, I'll try to add a link later on when I remember. He was studying how artists and companies made it through the Great Depression and what happens when the economy does weird things. And he found out the millionaires still buy very expensive pieces of art, just a couple $1,000s lower. They're not saving that much more money. What might have been a $10,000 painting is now a $5,000 painting. So the people who have money are still going to be spending it. That's okay. What he also noticed with the Great Depression is that the businesses who stayed visible made it longer. So that is actually when exposure is going to help us out, is no matter how weird it's getting, is to still keep visible with your business and just pop stuff out there. That's the wonderful thing about social media right now, is that it costs us almost nothing to at least get out there. Whether it's works in progress, studio shots, people actually really like behind the scenes and stories about what you're doing and how you're making it. So I don't think we need to be worried about putting out lots of finished products. So don't worry about that. Just get out there, be visible. That's an important thing. And don't worry about the algorithm, okay? Be you. That's what's going to last much longer. The other thing with all of that is a false correlation between mass-produced items people buy and original art. There is no indication that people buying this much stuff means they're not going to buy your stuff. My sales being lower than I expected had 10 other variables that had nothing to do with that other situation. I think it's really easy for us to try to put those together because we're thinking, oh, people with the average person spending money on things they can't eat or need, and well, why shouldn't they buy my thing? And there are so many variables in that that don't even think about that, like special occasion. Did they like your stuff? You have a very specific taste. Was it advertised? There's way too many variables. Don't even think about that, because keep on doing what you're doing and honing your craft. There is no oversaturation for excellence. I know somebody else out there on the internet also said that or paraphrased that, and I love it so much, because whatever market you're into, it's only oversaturated if you're like everybody else, or if you're following that trend, that's going to get oversaturated eventually anyway. Sure, we can hop on some wind with that, but once you're original, it's your voice, it's what you want to say, and it's excellent. I do believe there are some art terms and art things that can be excellent, even though we don't like talking about art being right or correct or things like that. So having the excellence of quality and craftsmanship plus originality, there's never going to be an oversaturation for that. And it's a matter of finding your audience, which is a topic beaten to death by some of the best marketers. And it's true. And sometimes I haven't figured it out yet. So it's not oversaturated. Keep going. Make good stuff. Make good art, like Neil Gaiman says. Just make good stuff. And keep going. Get visible. It's going to be okay. When I think about, oh wow, this one first show of the year was low. Ooh, scary. Never base it on one or two shows. Ever. Especially these years. It's going to be okay. Because I have to look at the reality of last year. There were things I absolutely sold out of, like these little guys. They're 4-inch by 12-inch, looking very similar to the one behind me. I sold out of those at $50 a pop. So it depends on where you go to find your audience too. Do not be afraid of positioning. That is a marketing term. The really not politically correct way, I have to pick a better way of saying it. You would not sell a diamond at a dollar store. If you've got a really cool quality piece of art, which might seem a little more expensive for the average buyer, you aren't going to market at that in a dollar store. I love dollar stores. There's a place for them, but a person at a craft fair is not going to be looking for hundreds of dollars of a fine art. So learning that positioning and what works well is all part of the journey there. So I'm glad this worked for me last year. I hope that works again this year, and I'm prepared to make more and get stuff out there. So artists along the journey with starting to do this thing, hobby or professional, get out there. There's tons of variables involved, so don't worry sales are up or down, because you're in it for the long haul, not months at a time, but years. And it's going to take some stock. Make stuff. Make stock. Make your stuff. You can't sell it if you don't have it. And just make it good. Make good art. Make excellent. Learn stuff. Invest in a class. We're going to make it. That's okay, because we have, and we're willing to do what it takes. So I hope that encourages you, because those realizations are helping me even in spring, which can be the hardest season for artists, because there's just not that many art shows right now. And we know that, and we can plan ahead for that. So hope you're encouraged by that. I'm off to do some virtual classes and art and things that it's working, it's going, and April's going to be insane. So if you have any other tips about realizing, hey, you're going to make it, and things where you realized that you have what it takes, and versatility is a huge thing, and we're going to make it. Please leave a comment down below if that helps you, or if you have another joyful thing to add. And thank you so much for stopping by. Bye.